living life is gangsta. Hey, hey, 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 love yourself first, explicitly. You overtook yourself to move with that energy. Empower your self-esteem. Self-love is king. That's the only way to win. That's how you empower your dreams. Living life is gangsta. Hey, hey. Living life is gangsta. Hey, hey. Living life is gangsta. Hey, hey. Living life is gangsta. Hey, hey.
Hey, y'all. Happy Mindset Monday. This dog is driving me crazy. Wallace just left to go to the store and he sees the car drive in front of the door and he starts barking, not realizing it's not a stranger. It's just Wallace that just left. But hey, y'all, happy Mindset Mondays. And for those who are new to the podcast, Living Life with Stae and Mindset Monday, welcome. I'm so glad that you decided to join us today. And I am your girl, Stae Hall. I am a certified life coach, L.Y.F.E, Love Yourself First Explicitly, as well as a certified emotional intelligence and soft skills instructor, trainer, and facilitator. I am an author. I'm a wife. I'm a mom. I'm a May. I'm Stae. Hey, Janet. Hey, how are you? How is everybody doing? Hey. Thank you so much for tuning in. What's up, fam? Thanks so much for being here. I responded to your comment too, because I'm like, okay, yeah, go ahead. We got to make this happen. Hey, Dawn, tell Maisie I said what's up. Hey. And so y'all also know, for anybody who is on Facebook, again, we can no longer broadcast live to our 15 to Life group. Facebook stopped that, but I can still go to my other pages. But again, it's best to hop over to YouTube, because then that way I can see everybody's comments for sure. And I don't have to look so much back and forth because I don't always catch everything. Yeah, my Facebook information is the same. Just go to Facebook and put @Stae Hall. And I have a couple of different pages, but you can hit me up there. Or, if you need to email me or whatever, you can email me as well. And my email address is always in the description box of the video. So, and all the links to my Facebook, TikTok, everything is in the description box of the video. So yeah, however you want to contact me, you can just find me @Stae Hall. So thank you y'all for saying hello to everyone. When you come in, if you could remember to please smash that thumbs up button, which I see somebody just did, almost like on cue. Because it does help us in the algorithm. And I know sometimes when we jump on with this long form content and lives, we don't think about it, right? We're automatically used to hitting like and everything on Instagram and Facebook and all that. And we don't think about it as much on YouTube. And I'm guilty of it as well. I don't know why I feel like it's been forever since I talked to y'all. Maybe because it hasn't been in this exact setting. But I have been going live. I had hey, Dolores, how are you? I have been traveling a lot lately, y'all. I've been traveling so much back to back. And May, I think, is going to be a little bit more chill for me. But it's just been different because I went live last night from the car. Wallace and I ran into some heavy storms on our drive home from Mobile, Alabama last night. It was crazy. And we drove my car. So for those of you who may not know, but I've been posting it like crazy, I went to Mobile, Alabama to go to the prom with my nephew, Donovan, who is a junior in high school. And he is special needs, autistic, and nonverbal. And he goes to a special needs school. And so my sister and I, along with Coach Candace Coates, were able to escort him. And so we drove my car to Mobile. which is a sports car. And so sports cars aren't really, made for long distance traveling, convertible, all that. But we drove it there so that he could be driven to the prom with the top down in the sports car. But last night on that drive home, that wind was trying to blow my little car. And so, yeah, it was a little, I can't say scary, but it was a little nerve-wracking for a while last night. Wallace is an excellent driver, so I wasn't scared. I know he pays attention. He actually is a professional driver, has his CDL. I know we have a lot of truck drivers that are in our community as well. And so we used to own 18-wheelers. We had a trucking company a few years ago. And so that's always been something that Wallace has been into. So he has a CDL. So he's an excellent driver, but it was just a little bit nerve-wracking because you're not always just worried about you either. You have to worry about the other drivers on the street, and people just don't always pay attention and seem to realize that you have to slow your speed. You can't even go to speed limit when you're in inclement weather. You need to slow it down. And so we did run into a couple of people who didn't seem to understand that last night, but we made it home last night about 11:30, safe and sound. And y'all know your girl, I got up this morning, I hit the ground running and had a lot of work to do, but I didn't have any meetings that took me out of the house today. So that was good. I was able just to kind of catch up on some things. And so before we get into today's topic, which is recognizing toxicity, healing trauma, and managing triggers, I know another one of my bright and sunshiny topics, but I just think it's important. And that's what I created this for it to be a safe space, because we've all in some way or another dealt with someone who was toxic, whether it was someone really close to us or someone we saw from a distance, or maybe it was just that disgruntled coworker. We've all had some sort of trauma in our life, whether it was a major trauma, where we dealt with maybe childhood neglect or abuse, or maybe it was something a little more minor where maybe you were just bit by a dog as a child and that fear carried into your adulthood. And we all have certain triggers. And so I want this to be a safe place for us, first of all, to be able to be vulnerable and admit, yeah, I got some of this stuff. It may not be on a major scale, but I have some of this stuff, because I want to be able to give you guys some tips and things to be able to work through it, manage it, handle it, cope with it, deal with it, so that you're not just carrying that luggage with you and not being able to live your life at the highest level possible for yourself. And so that's why sometimes my topics may seem a little like, dang, Stae, more doom and gloom, but it's just because I want us to work through it. But before we jump into the topic, I have something exciting. Y'all know we did the video not too long ago, the live, and I was on Miss T with the T about writing a book. And so we did a little poll on my live, put a 1 in the chat if you're interested in writing a book. And we had a lot of response. So I'm going to mention this a couple of times throughout tonight's live to make sure that everyone, hey, Joycelyn, how are you? Or Jocelyn, I'm sorry. How are you? But I want to make sure that everybody gets the information, but I have gone ahead and scheduled for us to have our writer session. It's going to be 2 days, May 21st and May 22nd, an hour and a half each day. And let me see if I can share my screen. Y'all know I'm not very tech savvy, but I'm going to share my screen if I can. Hopefully y'all are seeing what I'm sharing. I don't know if you are or you're not. Okay, select a tab to share. Let me see. Oh, here it is right here. All right. And so I want to share my screen. This is my website, and it is staehall.com. So www.staehall.com. So hopefully y'all are seeing that on the screen. And when you go to staehall.com, you'll just click pin to print, because that's going to be the name of our writers sessions. And so it's going to be 2 days of full mastermind intensive on how to write your book and get it all the way to publish and print, get it on Amazon.com, all the things. So we're going to spend an hour and a half for 2 days. So once you hit pen to print, it'll go to my store, and then you'll see here course release. You'll click on that, and you'll be able to go ahead and add it to the cart and read a little bit more about it. Now, typically, and when I've done these sessions in the past, they have been $379. But because you all are my family, my tribe, and I want to always make sure that I'm giving you the most bang for your buck, I give y'all a lot of information on the free 99, and I'm completely okay with that. That's what I do. But this particular session, there will be a fee, but it's only $149 and an investment in yourself. $149 is very small to make that investment in yourself. And as you can see, it's normally $379, which is also a very small investment, because most people, for information like this, with a course like this, it's going to charge you, upwards of $1,500. Trust me, or go online, Google it, do the research. But that's just not who I am. So I definitely want to make sure I put this out here for y'all, because this price is not going to remain $149. So you want to jump on it, and it's going to be on Zoom, and spots are going to be limited because I can't really afford to just open it to the masses at $149. And it's also not fair to have the class jam-packed with tons and tons of people, because I want to be able to, that last half hour of the session for both days, I want it to be a question and answer, and I want to be able to answer all your questions and give you all of the information. And so the description just says, in this comprehensive course, you'll receive step-by-step guidance on writing and self-publishing your own book, gain valuable insights into editing, cover design, formatting, printing, and selling. Discover effective strategies for promoting your book, organizing successful book signings, and securing podcast interviews to reach a wider audience. Join us and unlock the tools you need to turn your book idea into a published reality. Register today, because the price will go to regular price soon. And again, it's going to be limited space, because I just want to make sure that I'm able to give you all 100% of my attention and be able to answer every single question. And so with it only being an hour and a half, I don't want to pack it with like 100 people in the class. But also rest assured that whether I have one person sign up or I'm going to cap it at 25, whether it's 1 or 25, I'm having the course. So don't worry about it. If you end up being the only one who registers for whatever strange stretch of the imagination, then you just going to get one-on-one with Stae for 2 days. So again, it's going to be Tuesday and Wednesday, May 21st and 22nd, from 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. So for you East Coast people, it's a little later. That will be from 8 to 9:30 p.m. because your girl lives in Texas, so it's Central Time. But I wanted to share that with y'all, and you can just jump right over to staehall.com and register. So I am super excited about that. I'm excited to help you all on your journeys, get these books written. And it has been a minute. Hey, Miss T, how are you? It's been a minute since I've done a mastermind course like that. And again, that price, $149, you cannot beat it, because you are going to get all of the information. You'll also have a PDF type of instruction that you'll be able to, I'll email that to you. And yes, so you'll have everything in writing as well for you to reference as you're on your journey. So I'm super excited about that and so happy to share. And I'll mention it again, because I know people kind of come in and out when we're on these lives. So I will do the whole commercial again so we can share. But also, if you know anyone who's interested in writing a book, just share my website with them. Registration is open now. So, if you want to go ahead and secure your spot, then do that. But I'm excited to be able to help y'all get your books published, because it's important to be able to share your information. So without any further ado, now that we've taken care of all of the housekeeping, we're going to get into tonight's subject, which is recognizing toxicity, healing trauma, and managing triggers. First of all, I wanted to start with the whole thing on recognizing toxicity because some of us have become so used that mastermind sounds super amazing. Yeah, masterminds are awesome. When you can get into a mastermind, into an intensive and learn from an expert in a small group, it's amazing. Please ignore Lux. I don't know what he's barking at. I guess just cars or something in the door. And Wallace just left, so he's really on high alert. Hey, Stacia, how are you? Thank you for watching. Again, if anybody's on Facebook, go over to YouTube, put in @StaeHall, subscribe, and join us over here. And that way you can communicate with us in real time, and I can see that. But first of all, I wanted to talk about recognizing toxicity because so many of us, unfortunately, have been surrounded by toxic people for so long in our lives, or have been in toxic relationships for so much of our lives, or have toxic family members. We have a culture of toxicity in our families. We have toxic friends. We've been on jobs with toxic coworkers, whatever it is, for so long, and so many people that we are not even really sure what toxic is. We have ignored people's bad treatment of us. We have ignored people's poor behavior. We have ignored negativity, written things off as to that's just how they are, and all of the things for so long, we don't even realize when something's toxic. And I want to tell you this, even when you feel like you're ignoring toxicity, or, it doesn't really bother you, it is affecting you in some way, shape, or form. Yeah, after long enough, toxic becomes our normal. Yeah, and I know we've all heard, the people where some people seem to thrive in chaos. Some people just don't know how to be happy. Some people, all they ever want to do is complain. They don't know how to be grateful. And again, we have become accustomed to being around it for so long that we don't even realize it. We have people in our lives who make little digs at us. Like, one of my least favorite comments that people make to me and to other people is that whole thing where, oh, it must be nice. I hate that mess. That is toxic as HE double hockey sticks. What does that mean? It must be nice. Like, to me, that's an offhanded comment where it's kind of trying to downplay your happiness, your success, whatever it is, and acting like that's not the norm, or you don't deserve it, or whatever. And that's that kind of toxic stuff. Or people who, instead of just being able to compliment you and saying you look nice, they say stuff like, oh, I see you. It's like, what does that mean? You see me. I know you see me, but why can't you just say I look nice? Or why can't you just say that looks good on me? Just things like that. Or people who always have to pick out something, like, they'll give you the comment, but then afterwards, there's still some kind of dig like, oh, yeah, that dress is cute, whatever. But, I probably would prefer it in blue, whatever it is. And we accept that kind of stuff from them, but it still plays a part in our mental health. It still plays a game with our psyche. It still can bring us down because we're up here and we're feeling good about whatever. And now we're in the presence of this person who's complaining, who has the offhanded comments, who always has to make a dig. That's toxic. And again, we learn to ignore it. We learn to accept it because we think, because we hep to the game, that it's not affecting us, but it does affect us. And those people do not deserve to be in our lives in a way where they have major access, in a way that they can make major impact. You do not have to allow people access to your life who does not bring you positivity. You don't have to accept somebody else's toxic behavior because they have chosen to make chaos and toxicity and negativity a norm. That is a choice that you can make. Now, do you want to just go ahead and accept it and say, well, that's just how they are, and you want to feel like it's not going to affect you? That's up to you, but there's clearly a choice that you could make. But the first step is being able to recognize it. So we're going to do this again because y'all know I love when y'all talk back to me. Put a 1 in the chat if you feel like you're effectively able to recognize toxicity. Hey, Tamika, how are you? If you feel like you can recognize toxicity, if you recognize that you can point out a toxic person from a mile away, if you know toxic behavior, put a 1 in the chat. I need y'all to know. I need to know if y'all know that. Sometimes, but I'm loving the fact that I'm not seeing any 1s, because that means we need to talk about this. The flavor of toxic. What does that mean? What does that mean, Janet? That depends on the flavor of toxic. And let me go ahead and put the link in the chat too, because y'all know y'all are welcome to come up here. Okay, so we don't have any 1s in the chat. And so that's why today's conversation is -1. That's why today's conversation is so important, because we have to be able to recognize toxic behavior in order to protect ourselves from toxic behavior. And so the way that you recognize, okay, J3, I know J3 is wise. You know, like some people are in your face toxic, some people are sneaky toxic, some are jealous toxic. Right. And so that's why what I want to do is help y'all to gain. And so let me just go by what Janet put in there. Some people are in your face toxic. Well, here's my thing. In your face toxic is a thing. However, that's the best toxic that you want to deal with, right? Because it is in your face and it's obvious, and that is easy to see. It's easy to spot, and they're just saying it is what it is. So that in your face is like, my grandmother used to say, it's better to be around the devil that you know rather than the devil that you don't know. Hey, Tim, how are you? The sheep in wolves clothing, that type of thing. Because when someone shows you who they are and you're clear on that, then you really know how to navigate around that person. But those sneaky toxic people, which can be looked at as our passive aggressive people, our nice, nasty people, the people who always preface something when they say it by, I don't mean any harm, I'm not trying to hurt your feelings, but, well, the thing is, when you say that but, or even the fact that you say, I'm not trying to hurt your feelings, or I'm not trying to be mean, hey, Miss Wilson, how are you? Then that means you already know whatever it is that you're about to say or do is going to be mean, and it's probably going to hurt my feelings, which means you are a toxic person. Why do you have to say anything to me that may hurt my feelings, that may be mean? I mean, unless it's a matter of life or death, you can keep that ish to yourself. You don't have to tell me that. Or the people who are the passive aggressive people who say things to you, and then when you express that your feelings are hurt, they say, oh my goodness, I'm so sorry, that wasn't my intention. I sometimes just don't think before I talk, or I just didn't realize you would take it that way. Those are the toxic people who are scary. And then you have the other sneaky toxic people who are the gaslighters, who say and do things intentionally to hurt your feelings, say things that they know will upset you, say things that they know are negative. And then when you do get upset and you react, then they lash back out at you. And instead of taking any accountability, they gaslight you by saying, oh my gosh, you are so sensitive. Oh, you need to have a thicker skin. Oh my goodness, I can't say anything to you. Oh, you get offended so easily. That's the gaslighting. And so those are the different types of toxic people. And we need to be aware of all of that, because if we're not aware, those people can have us thinking, am I too sensitive? And again, to me, there's no such thing. I'm sorry, you are so sensitive. Yeah. And there's no such thing as too sensitive in my mind. We are who we are. And if we're sensitive and if things hurt our feelings, that's okay, because we should be allowed to express our feelings and let people know when things hurt our feelings. Now, do we all need some constructive criticism every once in a while? Do we all need to learn our opportunities for growth sometimes? Absolutely. But it should be only given by people who we have trusted with our feelings, people who we appreciate and can respect their opinions of us, and people who we have that level of relationship with. We don't have to accept that from any and everybody. And people's titles and positions in our lives, do not give them that permission because they're our mama or auntie or uncle or kids. That doesn't mean that you have that kind of permission, because just because you are a certain person in my family tree, or just because you're someone that I've known for a long time, that doesn't necessarily mean that I want your opinion, I respect your opinion, or need your opinion. And that is just the honest to God truth. Time out for all of this, oh, well, you have to respect your elders. Respect is relative, in my opinion. Respect means that you're not going out of your way to hurt anybody. It means that you're speaking to people, you're being polite, you're being kind, you're not saying nasty and harsh things to people. Respect does not mean that you have to let somebody, just because of their title and position in your life or their age, say anything to you and treat you any old kind of way. If they're not respecting you, they don't necessarily deserve your respect. And respecting someone doesn't mean that you have to take off of them. It means that you can respectfully let them know that they're out of line. You can respectfully let them know that they need to mind their own business. You can respectfully let them know that you're grown and capable of making your own decisions. You can respectively let them know that their opinion is not required. So I want us to be real clear on that, especially us that grew up in a certain day and age, especially us of certain cultures. That whole respect your elders and you can't say anything back. And if Big Mama said it, no. And that's one thing that I believe that these younger generations are getting right, but they're a little too. I talk about, when I do speaking engagements, that pendulum, that shift where at one point we were way over here where we never talked about our feelings. We dared not ever talk back. We dared not question anything. And now it's like they say whatever's on their mind. They have no filters. They'll use any kind of language, whatever. And I just feel like we need to get right in the middle where we can speak our minds, but respectfully. And that's fine, because long gone are the days that your position in my life, whatever your title is, mama, daddy, son, cousin, Mr. Mailman, Mr. Milkman, whatever. Long gone are those days that just because of who you are in my birth order, that means that I have to take off of you. I'm not doing that. Hey, Gina, thank you so much for being here, sister. Oh my gosh, my face just lit up. Thank you for being here. Sandra says it comes in so many ways. Some you can spot right away. Some may not be so obvious. Watch and listen. Yes. And I always say, hey, Casey, hey, Tuber Chat. Thank y'all for being here. And again, if you're on Facebook and you want to jump over to YouTube, just go to @Stae Hall, subscribe, and join the chat so I can be sure that I see your comments and everything as soon as they pop up, because sometimes our good Facebook does not like to play nicely with YouTube. But yeah, people, hey, Lene, thank you for being here. But people will manipulate us and guilt us into accepting their toxic behavior based on the fact that, girl, I knew you since you was in diapers. I changed your diapers. I practically raised you, or I did raise you, or I gave birth to you. Well, you know what? I was not put on this earth to be abused, misused, mistreated, disrespected by anybody. I don't care who you are and what your title and your position is in my life. If you cannot give me the respect that I deserve as a human being, I don't have to deal with that. And I have every right to advocate for myself. I have every right to stand up for myself. I have every right to speak back to whomever speaks to me in a way that I don't like, whoever decides to disrespect me. I just put my YouTube handle in the chat. You just go to YouTube and put in @Stae Hall, just like that, and it'll bring you to my channel, Lene, and then you can hit subscribe and join the chat there. So yeah, @Stae Hall, sis. And so I want us to be able to recognize that toxicity. When we're recognizing toxicity, it's going to look a lot like people with narcissistic personalities, right? It's going to look like people with, hey, Mika, it's going to look like it is manipulation behavior. It's going to look like people who are never happy. You're welcome, sis. Never happy with what they have going on in their lives. It's going to look like people who are constantly saying things to hold you back and keep you from achieving your goals. It's going to be the people who are always questioning everything that you're doing and saying things like, oh, you still trying to do that? Or, why are you doing that? That's what toxicity is. Mika, let me see what you said. I pulled up the other one. That was Lene. Oh, I'm so glad I got in time today. This topic is perfect for me and I've been dealing with it. Oh, well, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're here. Thank you so much for tuning in. But that's the things it's going to look like. It's going to look like those people who never quite can make the time to support you in your endeavors, the people who are questioning everything. And so I need you to recognize that and not have room in your life for that behavior. And I know I'm always talking about my cutoff game is strong and whatever, but I am definitely not here to tell y'all to sever ties with everybody in your family and make all new friends and all that. All I'm saying is, if necessary, give yourself permission to do so. Choose you. Choose you. Don't let someone else's lack of doing the work and becoming healthy keep you from doing the work and becoming healthy. And sometimes when we recognize these toxic behaviors, when we change the dynamic of those relationships, and when we speak up in a way that maybe, quite frankly, we've been afraid to speak up for most of our lives. And that's the thing too, when you grow up that way, it's this fear in you that if you stand up for yourself, if you talk back, if you disagree. I mean, even at our big ages, right? There are certain people where we just dare not say, you know what, I really don't want to discuss that with you. Or, you know what, that's really none of your business. Well, you know what, I'm fine with the decision I made and I'm grown. Respectfully. And again, when I say respectfully, I'm not even being facetious. I'm saying use kind words. You don't have to yell, holler, and scream. Hey, Sammy Joe. You don't have to do any of that. You can be kind. And then if the response that you get is negative, or it's something where it seems like it may escalate, then you can also go ahead and excuse yourself from the conversation and say, you know what, I see you're really upset right now. I understand that this is something different for me, that you haven't seen me stand up for myself in this way. So if you like, we can take a time out and revisit this chat later. Like when I say respectfully, I'm not being condescending. I'm not being facetious. I'm not being sarcastic. I'm saying we can stand up for ourselves in the same way that we would like for people to talk to us. And a lot of us, like I said, were born in a time and day and raised where we dare not speak to certain people in a certain way. And what I want to lend to you is, when you accept behavior from someone for so long, right? And you never question the behavior, you never stand up for yourself, you're also doing that person a disservice, because they have also gotten used to behaving in a certain way for so long that they don't even think about it anymore, right? They just say whatever they want to say. They're not used to anyone challenging them. They're not used to anyone standing up to them, because this is who they are and people are afraid. But you have to think about it. What is it that you're afraid of? And that's what I had to come to terms with one day. What am I afraid of? I'm 52 years old. Who gonna whoop me? I'm 52 years old. Who gonna take my phone? I'm 52 years old. Who gonna say that I can't go out this weekend? What am I afraid of? It's brainwashing. It's manipulation. You have this fear of nothing. The most that I can be afraid of is the fact that maybe you might have something to say back to me. Well, if you can say something back to me respectfully, then we can have a conversation. So what am I afraid of that for? I'm always talking about the importance of having conversations. So why am I going to be afraid of the conversation? We need to talk. We have things we need to talk about. If you're not going to respect me, and if the conversation is going to be one that's nasty and ugly, then what am I afraid of? The fact that you're not going to want to talk to me anymore? Because that tells me right then and there, if you're willing to sever the relationship and no longer talk to me because I expressed to you that I feel like you're bringing a certain level of toxicity to the relationship, if you're willing to cut ties with me because I say that the way that you treat me and the things that you say and some of the things that you have done have made me feel some sort of way, and I want to kind of reevaluate and assess the relationship. If you're willing to no longer deal with me because I'm sharing my feelings with you, then guess what? You're telling me right there and then in that moment that I'm not important to you anyway. How about that? And so why am I going to be afraid of possibly losing a relationship that's one-sided anyway? Because if you are willing to no longer have a relationship with me because I want to have a healthier relationship, because I might want to discuss some things that feel toxic to me, if that upsets you so much that you don't want to talk to me, then I don't need to have that relationship with you anymore anyway, no matter who you are. Because again, I'm choosing me. I'm choosing my mental health. I'm choosing my happiness. And I want you to be a part of that journey. But if you can't do it and you can't get past your own toxic behaviors, then do I really need to be in that relationship? And again, no matter who it is. Hey, Tampa, how are you? How are you? Let's see. Janet said, it's hard to find the happy medium between taking everything and losing it. Yeah, and that's the thing. We have to be able to find that happy medium. We have to be able to find that point of compromise. Because again, I'm not telling you that you should be going around here telling people to bow down to you and, you can only address me of Queen Stae. No, I'm saying just a mutual respect. And so now that we've talked about it a little bit, let's put a 1 in the chat if you think you might be able to recognize toxicity a little better. Put a 1 in the chat if you think that after our little chat now, you have a little more clarity on what toxicity looks like. Yeah, Wallace just went out to run an errand, Tim, but I'm sure he's probably has it on his phone and he'll be back, I'm sure, before we're done. He ran to Lowe's to get something for the pool. All right, I got a 1 with Miss Wilson. So, okay, Miss Wilson's picking up what I'm putting down. Hey, Taps in, how are you in the bushes? Okay, I got a 1 from Janet. Okay, Janet. All right, a 1 from Dawn. So we're going to start recognizing these toxic behaviors in people. We're going to recognize those people who are manipulating us, people who are saying things to us that we don't appreciate, the offhanded compliments, the questioning of everything. We're going to recognize that. And so the next thing we're going to move on to is healing from trauma, because how many of you know that accepting that toxic behavior over time is going to create trauma in your life? Hey, Cece. And I need y'all to realize that, because we have to heal from it. We have to heal from that trauma. A lot of times we show up in different ways depending on the trauma. And I'm not going to talk about all different kinds of trauma. We're going to talk about trauma today just based on the toxic relationships that we may have found ourselves in with whoever it's with. And what happens is we start to have trust issues with other people. We're afraid to let people in because we feel like everybody might talk to us and treat us the way the toxic people in our life do. And we already have our hands full. And so it causes us to not be able to have healthy relationships with other people. It can also cause us to then be toxic. Hey, Beverly, how are you? Hey, Jesse, thank you for tuning in. It can also then cause us to be toxic towards other people, right? Because what happens is sometimes you have somebody or somebodies in your life who are treating you in a way that's toxic, who are not giving you the respect that you deserve, who still continue to talk to you like you don't have a brain in your head. And so then what happens is we lash out on other people. So now we're in relationships with other people and we start to treat them the way we've been treated. Because what happens is when you feel out of control in one area of your life, then it makes you grab control too much in other areas of your life. Does that make sense? So it's like I have this person who may be, my mother or my sister, who's always toxic with me, who's always manipulative with me, and I'm tired of it, but I'm not going to address that. So now maybe I have this best friend or a love interest or whatever, and I display that toxic behavior towards them. And that's what they talk about as far as breaking cycles. And breaking cycles does not only mean with having children and things like that. Cycles can show up anywhere in your life. Like, I know for a fact people that I've worked with when I was in corporate America, where I could almost guarantee that they had some kind of toxic relationship at home. Either it was a toxic relationship with their spouse, a friend, or another family member, because they always had to be in control of everything at work. They were the micromanagers. They were the people who had to double check on everything. They were the people who always complained about everything that was going on. And to me, it's like, yeah, you don't have enough going on where you feel like you can control in your life. So you come to work and you show up as the boss because you don't feel like you can be a boss at home. And when you don't heal from those toxic relationships, that is what you are risking. You're risking being that same toxic person to somebody else. And one thing that I like to share with people all the time is, you don't want to be the reason why somebody else needs to heal. And I'm going to say that one more time, and I hope y'all listening, and I hope you writing it down. You never want to be the reason why somebody else wants to heal. You don't want to be that parent that provides that childhood that they then have to heal from as an adult. You don't want to be that girlfriend, that boyfriend, that spouse that is the reason why somebody else has to heal before they can go into another relationship. And if we would focus more on that and realizing how the things that we say and do can literally change the entire trajectory of someone's life, it would make us all think twice before we said and did some things. And a lot of things, y'all know I mentioned the old adages and cliches and whatever often, but they're out there for a reason. But the one that sticks with me right now is the fact that hurt people hurt people. And that's a true statement. It might sound corny, but that's true. And if you don't heal from your trauma, you can end up either having all of that stuff bottled inside, causing you all kinds of not only mental health issues, but physical health issues, or you can be that person that then bleeds on someone who didn't cut you. I wish there were more people in here to hear this message. Oh, thank you so much, Cece. We have an executive like this at my job, fits to a T. Yeah, and that's the thing. Those kind of people, they don't understand why they're acting out in that way. But it's that control, because we all want to feel like we have control of something. When they talk about eating disorders and different things that people deal with, a lot of it is because of the lack of control. And that's why, you see it in a lot of like child stars and athletes and different things where they've just been pushed so hard and nothing in their life did they have any control over. They couldn't make any decisions. So then they find that one thing that they can actually control, that thing that's all theirs. And that's why it's so important to have harmony in your life so that you're not grasping for that. And more than control, wanting extra respect to make up for the toxicity other people shouldn't have to suffer. Exactly. It's overcompensating. I never want to be the reason someone else has to heal. No. Yeah, that is something that, and here's the thing. Hey, Chris, thank you so much for being here. Thank you. I just want to make sure I'm not missing any comments. It looks like everyone is just saying hello to everyone. Hey, Living Out Loud. How are you? And thank you so much. But yeah, the thing is, we, have these things that happen to us and then we don't do anything about it. And I don't want y'all to be kicking yourselves because you may have made mistakes, especially those of us who are parents. Like, there's always going to be that time where you maybe yelled at your child just because you had a bad day at work. Here's the key. If that happens, just be willing to apologize, because we're not perfect. Don't every time, you maybe fuss at your child, or maybe you got an attitude with your spouse for no reason in the world. Don't be like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be the reason that person has to heal. No. We can teach our children, we can teach our spouses, whatever, that harmony where it's like, yeah, I'm not perfect. I'm going to fall short every once in a while. I'm not always going to be in the best mood. I'm not always going to have the best attitude. But the thing is, this is what we need to be able to guarantee our children, guarantee our spouses, guarantee our friends, that if and when I step out of line with you, if I raise my voice and I have no business raising my voice. If I am just ugly to you because I had a bad day, this is what I will guarantee to you. When you come to me and let me know what your feelings are and how I made you feel, I will have absolutely no problem in apologizing for that. And I will always try my best not to let it happen again. I can't guarantee, because life be life and I'm only human. But what I can do is guarantee that you will always get an apology from me with no questions asked, and my honest and genuine effort to not continue that bad behavior. How many of us, put a 2 in the chat if you could have moved on and had better relationships and better experiences with certain people in your life who had toxic behavior if they would have only had the courage to apologize. Put a 2 in the chat if that's you. If there is something that you can identify in your life, a person in your life, people in your life that displayed toxic behavior, that have talked to you ugly, treated you poorly, but if they were just willing to come and be accountable for their behavior and just say the simple words, I apologize, that you could have gotten something out of those relationships. Yes, Grammy 2, Sammy 2, Tampa 2, Lene 2, Cece 222. Let's see. I'm learning to do this with my girls now. Yeah, Regina, because that's not how we were raised, right? And it is something that we have to learn, but that's what I love about us. 2 from Janet, 2 from Miss Wilson. Yes, those little words, I apologize. And y'all know I don't like I'm sorry, because we're not sorry. We ain't sorry. We're quality individuals. We ain't sorry, folks. We're human. But we can't apologize. But I rarely ever say I'm sorry, because that to me, I'm like, no, I'm not sorry. I'm human. I make mistakes. But those apologies, and it takes courage to apologize, because the thing about most toxic people, they're bullies, right? And so what do we all know about bullies? Bullies are really just scared little kids that lash out and act poorly because they're trying to protect themselves. And so I'm dating myself, but if any of y'all remember Happy Days and the Fonz, he was never able to bring himself to apologize. He was too cool to apologize. But the thing is, when you apologize, you have to have courage, because it's making you vulnerable, right? It's making you vulnerable. You're admitting that you made a mistake. You're admitting that you're not perfect. And a lot of times people don't like the way that feels. And the thing is, when you're trying to be a good person, when you're trying to be good to other people, sometimes it's not always going to feel good, because you do have to look yourself in the mirror and say, maybe I'm the problem. But guess what? If it felt good, you wouldn't really want to change it, because the thing is, it doesn't feel good. So then that makes you be more aware the next time, because you don't want to do that, right? Let's see. Hello to everyone in the chat. I didn't say hello to. Regina said, yes, it does. Yeah, it makes a world of difference. I apologize even if I did not do something. I don't like toxic mess. Yeah, and that's the thing too. What I can't stand, and I've had this, and so we're going to put a 3 in the chat if y'all ever ran into this, where you have a conversation from someone and you straight up ask for an apology, and they'll say, I ain't do nothing to you. I ain't even do nothing. Have y'all ever experienced that? Put a 3 in the chat. Put a 3. I'm having to manage triggers now with my dad. I don't want to make him uncomfortable at all, but I'm struggling. Yeah, that's hard. That's hard. We're going to talk about those triggers too. Right. I'm too old. Stae. Yeah, we too old for that. Too old. Stae, what do you do when you apologize and ask for forgiveness and your own children keep bringing up the past because they're miserable and it's holding? Oh, yeah. That's a tough one. That is definitely a tough one. Now, what I want to tell y'all, and I see the 3s in the chat. I see the 3s. I see the 3s. Yeah, that is, I ain't even do nothing. What you want me to apologize to you for? All I said was, no, sometimes we just have to apologize for how we made somebody feel. And this is what I have run into with my kids. And then I'm going to get right back to you, Tampa, and we're going to talk about those triggers living out loud. But this is what has happened to me with my kids. 3 times, 3 times, 3 times square times 4. But I have had times with my kids, and most recently my youngest son, where we were just discussing some of his future plans and things like that. And the input that I had, and he was coming to me for my input. And, and I love the fact that, my adult kids still, value my opinion. But the way I gave him my opinion, and I honestly was not trying to hurt his feelings, would never want to hurt his feelings or make him feel any kind of way. But we just weren't seeing eye to eye on what his next steps were. And so I explained to him or expressed to him that I really wasn't in agreement with what his next steps were. And the way he perceived it, he felt like I was saying that what he was trying to do was stupid. Now, never have I used the word stupid with any of my children. Never. But again, it's about perception. So his perception was my not being in agreement, my not feeling that it was a great idea. It made him feel as though I thought he was stupid. So that's what he said. And so he told me it hurt his feelings. He told me, because I could tell the next couple of times we talked, because y'all know me and my Nunny Butters is always jovial. He always with the jokes. And I could just tell he was a little dry, not at all disrespectful, but just kind of humdrum. And so I asked him. And so I love the fact that he felt safe enough with me to say, well, Mom, whenever we were talking about this and you said this, it made me feel like you thought I was stupid or like I make stupid decisions, da. And I'm like, no, son, not at all. First of all, I don't think that you're stupid at all. And I don't think you make stupid decisions. What I think is that you're 22 years old. And at 22, you just don't have the life experience and the wisdom that I now have at 52. There are certain things that just aren't going to occur to you, and that's what I'm here for. So I apologize if what I said made you feel like I thought it was stupid, because the fact of the matter is, even if you do things exactly the way you're setting them out to do, I don't think that is necessarily going to be the easiest journey for you or the best journey. But I don't think it's going to be, life altering. I don't think it's a life or death. I was just lending my opinion. And what I asked him as a follow-up is, exactly what was it that I said? What were the words that made you feel that way? Because I want to be very intentional about not phrasing it that way in the future. Because one thing about me, and I know, Regina, as I put your comment on here, Gina, this is my girl, like my friend for 20 years or more. Oh yeah, well shoot, we'll go by Nunny, 22 years, because I had Nunny, I think the first 2 years we met. And so anyway, being from the East Coast, and I know Regina will be able to relate to this sometimes, and I've talked to this with y'all, we say things in a way that can be abrasive to other people, where if the same thing was said to us in the same way by somebody else, we wouldn't even be thinking about it. Oh, 24 years. Okay. Yeah, I know it's been a long time. I'm so bad with dates and things. So I try to do it by kids' ages and whatever. So I'm like, yeah, Nunny's 22. So I know I've known you before I had Nunny. And so, being from the East Coast, some things are geographical. And so, we don't mean no harm. We might be yelling. Some people are cussers, and some people are very offended by any cuss word, where you're just saying it and it doesn't mean anything. And so that's why it was important for me to ask him, what exactly was it that I said? Because I don't want to keep saying these things, because first of all, I want him to always feel safe to share his dreams and visions and ideas with me. I want him to know that I'm not a dream killer. I only want the best for him, and I'm going to support him no matter what. But also, I wouldn't be being a good mom if I don't just tell you the possible concerns. Regina said, I've had to really become vulnerable with my girls. I trust them with my vulnerability. And that's the thing too, being able to, and I'm glad you said that, even with our kids, and that might sound crazy, but that's the thing. We always want our kids to look at us a certain way, and we're afraid if they know, different weaknesses about us, is that going to make them lose respect? Are they going to judge me? As much as, again, in our culture or whatever, it seems like nobody cares what the kids think. We do. We want our kids to respect us. We want to be able to share with them, but at the same time, we do care what they think. Right, girl. Yes. And again, that's that East Coast stuff. That's that generational stuff. And these kids, they ain't with that. And it's good. I like the fact that they will say things, but we have to be open and honest so that we can heal. Because a lot of that comes from trauma from our past. We was hollered and screamed at. Maybe we was cussed at. We weren't listened to. We weren't whatever. And we just adapted to that. Tampa said, as a parent, that did the best I could and raised my daughters the best way I knew how. However, I made bad choices and learned from many mistakes. I've apologized numerous times, yet till this, I'm sure. Let's see. My oldest daughter still holds grudges because of her life choices and decisions she has made, but she tries to bring up the past when she was younger. Okay, so I got you on that one. This is the thing. Hey, Miss Shirley, how are you? Here's the thing. None of us are always going to make the proper decision. No one who raises children is ever going to make the right decision all the time. No one who raises children is ever going to have a child that says, oh my gosh, everything my mom said and did or dad said and did was perfect. And some of us maybe made more mistakes than others. Some things may be more serious than others. However, here's the thing. When you know better, you do better. Maya Angelou said that. You do the work. You make new choices. You become a better person, a stronger person, a more educated person as far as your mental health and your choices and things like that. And then you're vulnerable with your children. All you can do is apologize and show them moving forward that you've changed the person. However, something else that my grandmother used to always tell me, that there's going to come a time where every tub has to sit on its own bottom. Even though you may have made some poor choices with your children that changed the trajectory of their life, if they're able to recognize that and realize that now, then that means it's their turn to do the work and heal from that trauma. And they cannot just rest in the fact that, oh, it's your fault that I'm here. Because if you realize that you're in a here and you're not happy with that here, and you can articulate the fact that I'm here because of you, then that also means then you should be able to have the wherewithal to say, now at my age, even though these things happen, what am I going to do to make it different for me? You can't make anybody, unfortunately, accept your apology or forgive you. All you can do is offer it. But what you may also want to offer to your daughter, to your children is, hey, just like I had to do some work to get in a better place mentally, to be able to make better decisions or whatever the situation is. Although I hate the fact that some of the decisions I made have put you in this mind space and you may blame me for choices. But what I can offer to you is maybe you should do the same thing I did and do the work to get you to a better place. And whenever you're willing to forgive me, whenever you're willing to accept my apology, I'm here for that. If you want to go into joint counseling, if there's any decisions that I made that you might want me to explain to you a little more, whatever it is, I'm here for you. But what you can also do to put the onus on yourself, say, I only want this for you because I don't want you to one day end up in the same situation I am in and having to explain this stuff and go through this with my children. So that's what I offer you. Because again, I've been through trauma. I've had a lot of things that happen to me that I can blame on why I don't do this and why I can't get that. But I had to just come to the realization one day that I recognize that stuff happened. So now what am I going to do to make it better? Janet said, I hope that helped, Tampa, because, you know, you can't live with that guilt either. At some point, you're going to have to forgive yourself and move on and just move forward. You know, and the Bible says, you know, repent and sin no more. Just do better. And that's all you can do. You can't unring the bell. What's done is done. Apologize, ask for that forgiveness, and show by your life now. Tampa, with my foster kids, the same thing happened, and I'm doing the same as you, apologizing, but they are angry and miserable. All I can do is own my bad. I messed up and how it's turned them. Yeah. And the thing is, I don't know y'all particular situations, but as we talked about recognizing toxicity, that's the thing too. Don't allow people to manipulate you with your bad choices and behavior from the past. Don't let people cripple you by continuing to bring stuff up, because sometimes people just use those things because they figure as long as I keep saying this, then you're not going to expect anything else from me. I can just keep saying it's your fault and making you feel like crap. So then I can just sit in this and not become a productive member of society and do the things I want to do. Again, not negating anything that has happened to anybody. I understand we have traumas. Some people have had some awful things, but some people rest in that. Some people rest in being the victim. We want to go from victims to victors. We want to take our traumas and turn them into triumphs. We want to be able to use these things. And some people just can rest in that. And that is what becomes their identity. That's their badge of honor. But it's a safe place for them because they're like, as long as I can sing this song and I have this story, then I don't have to do anything else. So be on the lookout for that and make sure that you're not being manipulated by your own past decisions. 3 good friends are awesome. Recently, my good friend put me in check when she heard my tone towards my dad. Shout out to my friends. I just dealt with a situation like this with someone who is a caretaker. It's a decision that we have to make. And again, in our culture, it has been in our head, we have to take care of our parents. We have to take care of your parents. That's your mom. That's your dad. However, if you cannot make the decision to take care of your parents in their old age, in their sickness and whatever, and forgive them for the things that they've done, then you need to find somebody else to take care of them because it's not going to be healthy for you, nor is it going to be healthy for them. If you're doing it begrudgingly, if you're doing it hollering and screaming, if you're doing it making snide remarks, if you're doing it, and you can't do it with a smile on your face. And I just had this conversation with somebody a couple of weeks ago because the truth of the matter is it's not your responsibility to take care of your parents when they get sick and when they get older. It's really not. In a perfect world, of course, we would all be able to do that and be able to do it happily. But the thing is, it's not your responsibility. So if you have to turn it over to somebody else, do that. But don't do it if you can't do it peaceably because that's it's counterproductive. And I'm sure your friends told you something similar. And, depending on, maybe it's a conversation that you need to have with your dad to kind of get things out in the open and then be able to move forward and do it without having the tone and without having those feelings. And I know it's easier said than done, but it's steps. And that's why y'all know what I say every week, no matter what we're talking about, counseling, therapy is so important. Saying hello. They respect me too much more because of so much more because of my changes. Yeah, that's the thing. Because you know what? When we do all the hollering and screaming and fussing and griping, we just become white noise anyway. And they're not able to really build real genuine relationships with us, right? Because they turn us off. Just like we can tune them out, they tune us out. But when they really get to know us, when they really feel comfortable and able to have a conversation with us and share and know that we're going to share in return, that's where those real relationships come, where we're not just this tyrant at the house. We're actually a loving, nurturing parent. But again, it's learned behavior based on, what we knew. Janet said, the little one yells, calls me hateful things. I apologize when she says something that I really did do and own my shit. Haven't figured out how to deal with the rest yet. And that's the thing. And you can only apologize, but so many times too. Don't be manipulated. Popping in the show support. Stay. Good evening, everyone in the chat. Hey, thank you so much for being here, Crooked Peach. I'm so behind in the comments, but it looks like people are just speaking. Hey, Frugal Mama, I hadn't even seen you yet. I know I said hi to Jesse and welcome. Okay. Just because you're ready, it doesn't mean they're ready. Yeah, that's the thing. And that's a good point too. Just because you're ready doesn't mean that they're ready, but you also can't be held hostage and captive while they're getting ready. And again, I'm not saying to cut them off. I'm just saying you have to forgive yourself. You have to move on. You have to live your healthy life and just let them take their time. And whenever they will allow you to lend them that advice to, maybe give them some direction on how they can be happier, then you do that. Hey. Yeah, it does. It takes time. And believe me, and I've shared before, again, my life isn't perfect. I have a great relationship with 2 of my sons. Not so great with my oldest son. My oldest son has not cared to really have a conversation with me, see me, or have any involvement with me for 12 years. So when I tell y'all, I'm telling you what I know. I'm talking to you from experience. Those are the kind of things that make me an expert at what I do. Those are the kind of things that make me be able to have the empathy and compassion for those who are going through things. I'm not just this lady who went to school and got some kind of certification and I'm just sitting here talking to y'all. I'm telling y'all what I know. I'm telling you what I experienced. I sit here today in this very moment struggling with an estranged relationship with my oldest son, the one that it was just me and him for 6 years, the one that we were so close to, who is now almost 33 and has not really talked to me since he was 20 years old. That's some tough stuff. And I've had to grieve that relationship. I have had to go through, I mean, there were times when I was waking up in night terrors about that, because to not have a relationship with your child, that is difficult. And there are a lot of layers to what happened with me and my son. And, you know, I do share it with a lot of my one-on-one coaching clients and kind of tell them the whole story, which, you know, I'm not going to do that on here, but I am very open, very transparent. And I still am trusting and believing that one day my son and I will reconcile. I have no issue with my son. He can come to this door right now, and I'm going to welcome him with open arms. We don't even need to discuss anything. All he needs to say is, Mom, I want you back in my life, and we're good. But I went through a process. I went from being so angry, then to being so hurt. I went from chasing behind him all the time, texting him, practically stalking him, begging him to have a relationship with me, until, you know, through my therapy, it was like that wasn't healthy for me. And even though that's my son, I still had to choose me. And not only for me, I still had 2 other sons who I did have a great relationship with. And sometimes we have to realize that too. We fight so hard for what's not working and what's negative, and we let that consume us. And then the things that are good, the things that are pleasant, the things that are loving, the things that are kind, we just let those rot on the vine and kind of take it for granted because we're chasing this. And I just had to come to the conclusion one day that I can't keep chasing him. All I can do is say that the door of reconciliation will never be closed. I'm always going to be his mother. I want nothing but the best for him. I'm still concerned about him every single day. I love him more than anything, but I had to make a choice, and I had to grieve that relationship and just pray that one day it will be better. Let's see. I'm working on a 5th generation. I hope I got it right as she is growing up. All we can do, and the fact that you said that just lets me know that you're getting it right, because when you're intentional and you have that mindset, it's never going to be perfect, Miss Shirley, but it's about the intention and doing the best that you can and being accountable. I have forgiven myself and I've moved on, but she is angry at the lifestyle she is going through. Well, yeah, and that means she has some work that she has to do, and that's not necessarily your cross to bear. Hey, Carrie, thank you for being here. Train up a child in the way they should go, but when they become adults, they make up their own mind, and that's a burden they have to bear. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, all we can do is give them the best. And again, if they don't want to accept it, we have to, we have to move on. Sorry, y'all still working. Hi, that's okay. That's okay. I'm just glad that you are here. Let's see. Yes, everyone around her is happy, including me, but she wants everyone else to hurt because she is. And I'm trying not to walk away from her completely. She'll be 31 in November, and I'm tired of it. Yeah, and that's the thing. And sometimes, as hard as it is, the best thing that we can do is walk away, because sometimes that's when the light goes on. Us continuing to chase behind people and be enablers of that behavior and constantly apologize and take it. Sometimes we're keeping them from their breakthrough. We're keeping them from that next step because they've become comfortable with that. And it's not easy. Like I said, I literally had to grieve the relationship with my son. But sometimes it's the best thing that we could do for people. Yes, say it again for the people in the back. It's not our responsibility. No, we do not. I don't know where we got that from, that we have to take care of our parents. Like I said, perfect world scenario. But again, if my parent is toxic, if my parent is not, appreciative, if my parent is bringing down the morale in my household and making me feel some kind of way, Some people have done some really terrible stuff to me. I will find it hard to forgive them. Well, just remember, Chris, that the forgiveness is for us. It's not for them. And forgiving people does not mean that you're going to have a relationship with people. And that's what I always want us to remember. Forgiveness is not relational. Forgiveness is transaction. It's a transaction that we do it ourselves. What we're agreeing that we are no longer going to allow our mind, our heart, our soul to harbor negative feelings. We're not going to waste our time being angry. We're not going to waste our time wishing bad on people. We're not going to waste our time continuing to be sad or whatever. All we're doing is releasing ourselves of that negativity. That doesn't mean that we ever have to speak to that person again. It doesn't mean that we ever have to see that person again, have a relationship with that person. We don't even have to tell that person that we forgive them. And so just make sure that you realize that the forgiveness is truly for you, when you can just reconcile in your mind that that person is a non-factor to me. It doesn't matter to me what happens to them, good, bad, indifferent. They're just a non-factor, and I'm going to be okay in spite of what they did to me or tried to do to me or put me through. I have another opportunity to do things different. That was just a blip on my radar. It's something that happened. It wasn't happy. It wasn't comfortable. It happened, but I'm going to be okay, because we just don't want to waste our energy on those kind of people. Stae, you would not believe who is listening to your live. I guess after our conversation last week with you and Wallace, we're making some progress. Okay. I love it. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Yes. That's hard. I pray things get better. Well, thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for sharing that, Stae. I really appreciate how transparent you are. Girl, I don't know how to do nothing but just tell it like it is. That's the thing. It's just hard for me to do anything different. And I just want people to know that, yeah, I'm just not this person who read some books, watched a couple of Lifetime movies and an Oprah show. Like, this is life for me. There are things like I could tell y'all story upon story, but trust and believe, I don't speak on nothing I don't know for sure. And this is such confirmation for me why I went through certain things in my life. You know, it's like it all makes sense now, because everyone isn't going to have the courage and vulnerability to speak out about things. But there are people out there who need to hear from someone else to know that they're not alone. And so when I realized that, and that's when I, first wrote the book, Running for Your Life, I'm like, that's what it's about. It's about me sharing. And so it got me out of my why me, and why did this happen to me? And why did I have this kind of childhood? And why didn't I get this opportunity? It was like, I needed to go through the things because it was already predestined that I was going to be the one to either be able to relate to other people and let them know that they were not alone, or be able to keep people from going through some of the things that I went through. And so it's what makes sense for me. And so that's why this is all, very therapeutic for me as well, because it makes it make sense. 3 Lifetime movies and an Oprah show. I gotta remember that. Yeah. I mean, that's not at all where I got my education. And sometimes, people, I almost hate the fact that I'm considered a coach, because everybody and their mama calling themselves a coach now. And it's like, but that's what I am. That's what my certification is, because I did need to get some credentials behind my name so people would take me seriously. But it's like, no, I'm not one of them makeshift coaches who just watched a couple of videos on YouTube University and said, oh, I can teach the masses. I'm telling y'all, I don't speak on things that I have not experienced. And so that's what makes me the expert, not any formal education, even though, I've had to get some education to be able to make it legal, but I had to have the experiences to share. Yeah, no, I ain't no Oprah chick. No, I'm the real deal, Holyfield, and what you see is what you get. And so we've talked about the toxicity, and I appreciate you as well, Dawn. Y'all are the ones who make it make sense for me. Y'all really are. Y'all really are. And we talked about healing the trauma, and then we have to talk about managing the triggers. Triggers, oh my gosh, are so difficult to manage. I ain't even gonna lie, because some things we know can be triggering. So let's talk about first, maybe some of the toxic or uncomfortable or negative. Thank you, Jesse. Thank you. And welcome to the Lifer Tribe. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We talk about, some of the negative relationships that don't result in us cutting people off, right? And so we've had conversations with these toxic people, this toxic person, and they have respected us. They've respected what we've had to say. They've apologized. And so now we're building a new relationship. And so that's one thing I want to share with y'all too. Never make the pact with someone who you have had issues with to have things go back to the way they were, right? Because how many people say that? I just want things to go back to the way they were. I just want our sisterhood to be the way it was. I just want our friendship to be the way it was. Well, no, because the way it was at some point is what got us here. So what we're going to do is we're going to work on building a new sisterhood, a new friendship with the things that we've just discussed, with our new boundaries, with our new open communication. We're going to start a new sisterhood. And so, or a new friendship, whatever it is, because we always want to create a new relationship when we're trying to rebuild from toxicity, because going back to the way it was, guess where that's going to get us? That's going to get us back to where we are. And so now you've decided to go back to that new relationship or build that new relationship. And this is where triggers come into play. We talk about creating boundaries, but it's something that you say, yeah, we can't be going back to the way things were. We can't be going back to the way things were. But we talk about creating boundaries, but do we really know what that means? A lot of people, when they think about creating boundaries, they think about it more as far as their time and not having to say yes to everything and not having to be everything for everybody. But boundaries can be anything and about anything. Hey, Terry, thank you so much for joining us. And if you are on Facebook, please don't hesitate to hop over to YouTube. Put @Stae Hall in the search bar. You'll come to my page. You can hit subscribe and join the chat on YouTube in real time. But boundaries can be about anything. And so as it pertains to triggers, as you're building this new relationship with this person that you formerly had a toxic relationship with, you should create boundaries around possible triggers. So a lot of toxic relationships or uncomfortable relationships, there's usually that one thorn in your side thing that, like, every time this comes up, there's an issue. So whether it is a conversation about another family member, if it's a conversation about an ex-husband, whatever, create that boundary in that as we build this new relationship, we're going to stay away from these triggering topics. Hey, Sheila, thank you so much for being here, Ladybug. Good to see you. But we're going to avoid certain topics. And that's okay, because if you know that every time we talk about this person or every time we go back down memory lane and talk about how you wore my new shoes to the prom in 1975 and ruined my new shoes and then lied about wearing them and wouldn't replace them. And we know that's going to take us down that rabbit hole, and then we just decide that we're not going to talk about these things anymore. If something that triggers you is one of that person's other friends or family members, then we just decide, like, look, I'm not going to dictate your relationships with other people and who you can talk to and who you can spend your time with. But how about we just agree, hey, Jamia, we just agree that you're not going to share my information with them. I don't need to know anything about them. And we just keep those relationships separate. There are certain boundaries that we can set to keep us from being triggered, because the last thing you want as you're rebuilding relationships is to, a month into it, a year into it, everything fall apart again because this sore subject comes up or this person comes around, so you want to evaluate. You don't want to just jump into the relationship like, all right, girl, we good. Yeah, I know you didn't mean it. No, let's evaluate how we got here and try to eliminate that moving forward by creating boundaries and talking about things that can trigger a negative response. Other triggers may be forcing yourself to be around people who you don't feel mean you well, people who have maybe harmed you in the past. And just because it's your uncle or just because it's your cousin, you feel like you still have to show up to Thanksgiving dinner. You still have to go to the family reunion. If that is going to trigger you, if that is going to put you in a bad mental health space, you don't need to do it. Do not force yourself to do things that are going to undo the work that you've done, because I don't care how much therapy you go to. I don't care how much counseling you get. I don't care how much venting you do to your friends or whatever. Certain things are still going to trigger you. So you have to manage those triggers. You have to set those boundaries. Yeah, Sheila, I'm telling you what I know, girl. So you have to do that. And it's okay to not show up at an event because you know that such and so is going to be there and it's going to make you feel uncomfortable. You don't have to make yourself feel uncomfortable to please other people. And I don't care if other people in the family are saying, just come. It doesn't make any sense for you not to come. You know, we're going to want to see you. We're going to miss you. But do you care about me and my mental health? If certain things trigger you, then you want to manage those triggers. You want to protect yourself. Janice said, yeah, you can't heal from toxic people if you continue to expose yourself to them. No, you can't. I mean, that's just like, trying to, overcome and manage alcoholism, but you still going to happy hour for Thirsty Thursday every Thursday with your friends. And they're saying, just come on, you don't have to drink. You don't have to drink if that is something that's going to trigger you. Because here's my thing. Hey, Sweet Rue, how are you? Sweet Ree, rather. What made me say Rue? I don't know, because I said trigger you, Sweet Rue. Sweet Ree. I apologize. You don't want to do that because the thing is, maybe you'll go and you won't have the drink. Maybe you'll go and you won't have the conversation with that person. But how are you feeling while you're there? If all you can think about is the whole time is, I don't want to see them. I don't want to see them. I don't want to talk to them. If they say something to me, I'm going to pop off. Then you're not having a good time. So why do that? Hey, trigger. Why are you doing what you're doing? Me. Why? Ask why. Yeah. And that's the thing. And you can tell people when certain things trigger you. Like if you're somebody who doesn't like to be questioned about the things that you're doing, have conversations with people. Like, look, you're always asking me why I'm doing something that triggers me. That is something that bothers me. Stop doing that. You have the right to do that. You have the right to tell people what types of behavior, what types of conversations, what types of questions you are willing to ask. I had a life coaching client who was like, I am 37 years old. I've never been married and I don't have any children. And it bothers me so much that every time I show up for Thanksgiving dinner, the family reunion, Christmas Eve, a wedding, everybody's always asking me, when am I going to get married? When am I having children? So I find myself not wanting to go and not whatever because this. And I'm like, girl, tell those people it's none of their business. Don't miss out on, because if you are going to enjoy 99% of what's going on and you can enjoy people's company as long as they don't ask the questions, tell them to quit asking you those questions because it's none of people's business when you're getting married, when you're having a baby, if you're going to get married, if you're going to have a baby. You don't have to tell people why you're not married, why you don't have a baby. Like this stuff is none of people's business and it is okay. I need y'all to put in the chat, it's none of your business. You're allowed to say that. You are allowed to say that. It's none of your business. Just like they say, no, it's a complete sentence. Well, it's none of your business is a few more words, but that is okay to say. That is creating a boundary. It is none of your business. It is none of your business. I'm going to put it in there for y'all. Because people feel like that's rude, but what's rude is asking people personal questions like that. And especially when people do it in groups. Oh, I cannot stand that. Let's see. I had an aunt that never wanted to go to a reunion because of someone she didn't want to see. I never understood, but now I do as it happened to me. Yeah, and that's the thing. I don't like to dictate other people's relationships with people. So therefore, I just don't go where I don't feel comfortable. I'm not going to tell you who to invite. I'm not, whatever. Now, here's the other thing too. Thank y'all for the it's none of your business. Yes, it's none of your business. Say it. It's none of your business. It's none of your business. Right. Very personal. But again, people don't know boundaries and they think because of the place they hold in your life, how long they've known you, the fact that maybe they changed your diaper, they made your bottles, they think they can ask you that. Oh my goodness, that was my family. I did tell them to quit asking me when we were, yes, it's none of their business. You have, yes, thank you. It's none of your business. It's none of your business. None. Yeah, I have not heard that in a minute living out loud, but it's okay. It's okay. It's none of your business. Please mind your business just in case you didn't understand. Yes. And the thing is, you can also tell them like, I don't ask you personal questions like that. So I would appreciate that you don't ask me. And again, if they can't accept that, then these are people that maybe don't deserve a place in your life. And again, a lot of times was definitely my family. Yeah. And a lot of times that's when you find out who's really with you. And then when we did get married, nobody was invited, right? Because it wasn't none of their business. It was personal, private. Yes, yes, I love it. I love it. And that's the thing. We have to advocate for ourselves and our mental health. And we have to stop thinking that we owe certain people explanations. Our life is our life. If I'm not calling on you to pay my bills, if I'm not living under your roof, if I'm not calling and complaining to you all the time, then you don't have the right to question things. And some people just don't understand those boundaries, and they just need to know. And again, if they're willing to be upset with you and no longer talk to you because of that, then they weren't down for you anyway. I disappeared for years. Girl, cut off game strong over here. So I get it. I get it. They need to stay in their lane and take care of their own responsibility. Yeah. And a lot of times people like to ask people questions and put them on the spot because they're trying to deflect attention from them and what they have going on, or the lack of what they have going on. And so they're always trying to, like those people who always got to make somebody else the butt of the joke, the people who always on 10 and making all the jokes and look at me, or, but everything they say is at somebody else's expense. That's because they got stuff going on and they're hoping people don't see it. Like those loud, obnoxious people, to me, again, that's another one of those telltale signs that you're suffering from low self-esteem. You have some confidence issues because you're trying too hard. Let's see. I feel very uncomfortable being around my sister-in-law because she did so many mean things to me in the past. And don't be around her. Don't be around her. It's that easy. Do not be around her. And if family members or whatever, feel like, oh, you shouldn't do that. Again, you're protecting your mental health. You have a right. And if she has not apologized to you, if y'all haven't had a conversation that has been satisfactory to you, if you don't feel like her behavior's changed, then just don't be around her. You don't owe anybody. Like a lot of times people want us to be around other people and come to stuff to make them feel better. Like, no, that's not my job to make you feel better. I love when they give unwanted advice, but don't want to apply it to their own situation. Yeah. And it's usually people in the worst situations who know everything you're supposed to do with your life. Right. And so we have to be able to be aware of those things. And so I just want us to, have our eyes wide open, live our lives, L-Y-F-E, love yourself first explicitly, and realize that being selfish is necessary when it comes to our mental health, when it comes to our well-being, looking out for us, because those people who really do mean us well in our lives, those people who really do deserve our support and our love and attention, they need us to be selfish so that we can give them the best of us. They don't want that worn down us that's been suffering from trauma and toxicity and being triggered all the time. So we can't even give them the best. So save all of that energy for the people who deserve it. Yeah, me too, living out loud. It wasn't always. And again, that's why I can talk about it. But now, see, you wouldn't want to be it. And I don't care who it is. And again, I don't say it to brag, because I wish I could have strong, healthy relationships, especially with those who I share DNA with. But if I can't, I am not any longer going to be a self-abuser by continue, because at some point it's us. Nobody loves you like you love yourself. Self-love is so important. Yes. Thank you, Dr. Wallace Hall. But that's the thing. And you're not lovable when you don't love yourself and put yourself first. And so that's what you have to ask, because after a while, again, it's looking in the mirror. Why am I accepting this behavior? Why am I so comfortable continuing to have a relationship with this person? Why am I? And that's the thing, when you can realize it's something about you, it's like, okay, well, let me fix this stuff. Let me fix this. And then you can be on the right track. So we're going to recognize these toxic people and toxic relationships. We're going to heal from our traumas, and we are going to manage triggers by learning how to avoid things that make us feel uncomfortable. Again, I don't want you having a life that's crippling where you can't go anywhere and do anything. And I don't want just the sight of somebody to trigger you. But what I'm saying is, if you know that you're just not to the point where you can deal with something and still be happy and content, then just don't do it. You don't have to. You don't have to. And so I had said earlier that we were going to do the little commercial again. So for those of you who just tuned in or, came in 10 minutes or so after, I was letting people know that I have gone ahead and set up a book writing seminar or session. It's going to be 2 days, which is going to be May 21st and 22nd, an hour and a half each day, where I am going to teach everything from A to Z on how to write and self-publish your book. And so all you need to do to sign up is go to my website. When you go to my website, you'll see up at the top, Pen to Print. We're already on that page, but I'm just showing y'all how it'll look. Pen to Print is the name of the sessions. And then you will hit this course right here, and it will allow you to add it to your cart. Normally, this session would be $379, which in and of itself is a steal for the information I'm going to give you. When you finish with these 2-day session, you will have all of the information that you need to have your book published, be on Amazon, be on Walmart.com, be on BarnesandNobles.com. You will know everything you need to do to be able to have your book edited professionally, have a professional book cover, everything you need to do, every single detail. And you'll also walk away with a guide that you will have in your email to look back on while you are going through your book creation and self-publishing. And because I love you guys so much and we are a tribe and a family, I've cut that cost from $379 to $149, but it is not going to stay at that price. And also, we're going to be doing this via Zoom. So spots are limited because I want to make sure that I am able to give you all 100% of my attention and answer any questions that you may have. And so I feel like if I let the class get too packed and open it up to a ton of people, I'm not going to be able to give you 100% because I'm only one person. So I want to keep the class at a nice, manageable size that I can really give you a true mastermind intensive on how to get your book published. So each class will be an hour and a half from 7 to 8:30 p.m. and that is Central Standard Time because your girl is in Texas. So an hour later for those of you on the East Coast. But the course is live now. You just go to stayhall.com, click right up here to Pen to Print, and it will bring you to where you can add it to your cart and make that payment. So you don't want to hesitate. But I do promise that whether we have one person sign up or 25 people sign up, the class is going to go. So if we only have 1 or 2 people, then y'all are going to get even more of my one-on-one time. But I just wanted to make sure that since we talked about it a couple of weeks ago, I looked at my calendar and cleared some time. And so, yeah, that's what we'll be doing. So I am super excited to go on this journey with whoever decides to sign up for the course, because I truly believe that, it's important to be able to share your creativity. Hey, Tiffany, how are you, love? So good to see you. So good to see you. Oh, look at you putting my link in there for me. I appreciate you. Tiffany is absolutely amazing, y'all. Tiffany helps me with so many different things. Tiffany, can you believe I was able to put that course that I was just showing on my website today by myself? And don't think that I didn't for a second think I need to call Tiffany and help me with this, but I was able to figure it out. I did it by myself, y'all. But Tiffany is awesome when it comes to web design and just, Tiffany is just amazing. Event planning, like all of that. There's several things that I would not have been able to be successful with over these last year or so without Tiffany. So thank you so much for joining me. But yeah, y'all, the course is live. So if you want to register, go ahead and do that, because I am going to cut it off at a certain number, and that price is going to go up as of the 15th of May. I don't know if I ever even mentioned the day, as of the 15th of May, because I have to prepare for the number of people I have. So if you wait till the last minute, you're going to pay more. But if you know anybody who is interested in writing a book, I am going to open it up outside of our community, but I have not posted it on any other social media, and I will not post it on any other social media until tomorrow. So y'all have first dibs. No one else has seen this except for whoever is in this live tonight. It's not on my Facebook, it's not on TikTok, but it will be posted on everything tomorrow. So if you're really serious about writing your book, you want to go ahead and get registered tonight, because tomorrow morning, probably around 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning, it's going to go live on Facebook, and I'm going to create the event. So I wanted to make sure that since we talked about it here in the L.Y.F.E Tribe, that y'all got the opportunity to see it first. Also, if you're watching on Facebook and you're not already subscribed to the YouTube channel, please consider going over to YouTube and you just put in @StaeHall, or you can click that link that Miss Tiffany Miles just put in the chat and go to my YouTube channel and subscribe. And then that way you will be able to join the chat in real time and also get notifications when I go live, because Facebook has already cut me off from being able to go live in our 15 to Life group. And so who knows when they'll just say, oh, you're not going to be able to stream to Facebook and YouTube at the same time, because these social media platforms can be competitive with each other. They want to keep you on their platform. And so this is mainly for YouTube. This is for my YouTube channel, but I stream to other platforms when I can. But I definitely want to try to bring as many over to YouTube as possible, and definitely share the channel with your family members and friends, like Miss Tapped In did. If there's anything that I say or when Wallace and I talk that you think somebody else can be able to glean some information from to help them reach whatever level of success that they desire mentally, in their business life, whatever it is in their relationship, invite them to the channel. And so I appreciate you guys so much. This has been so much fun. I don't think we have anything else in the chat. I'm all caught up. Hopefully I said hello to everyone. If I didn't, please forgive me, because the chat was moving fast tonight. And so what I need y'all to do is put an A in the chat if y'all learned something this evening, just to let me know. Y'all know, just indulge your girl for a minute. I just want to know that y'all was picking up what I was putting down, and that y'all learned something tonight, and that you are going to do yourself a favor and start eliminating this toxicity and trauma out of your life. So I got an A from Janet. Thank you so much. I hope more than just Janet learned something. Okay, Jesse learned something too. Dawn learned something too. Okay, y'all learned something tonight. Thank you so much. Thank you, Tapped In. Yeah, I just need to know that what I'm sharing is making an impact. But y'all know I'll be back live on Thursday for Thirsty Thursday. So tune in. And on Thirsty Thursday, we do more knowledge-based stuff, not so much in our feelings. So we'll be talking about, some kind of business, something. I don't remember what it is. I have my schedule, but it's not in front of me. But I will be back for Thirsty Thursday. And then Wallace and I will be back on Sunday for the Hallway Life, for today's thriving couples and for those who wish to one day become a part of a thriving couple. And Dawn mentioned it earlier, but y'all tell Dawn congratulations. Dawn is a newlywed, y'all. Dawn is a newlywed. Congratulations. I wish I would have said that earlier, but when she was talking about her family, asking when they were going to get married and then not inviting them, they are newlyweds. So congratulations, Dawn. Yes, let's congratulate our sister in the L.Y.F.E Tribe. That is absolutely amazing. I have been knowing Dawn my entire life, like literally from elementary school. So, thank you so much, Jesse, and thank you so much for being here. Well, y'all know the drill. I appreciate each and every one of you guys. I love you all to bits and pieces. I thank you so much for choosing to spend your time with me, because I know there's a bunch of other stuff y'all could be doing, so I don't take it lightly at all. And y'all know the drill. Always be kind and always love one another, but don't forget to live your life. L-Y-F-E. Love yourself first explicitly. And I'll see y'all on Thursday. Bye.
Living life is gangsta. Hey, hey. 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 Love yourself first, explicitly. You owe it to yourself to move with that energy. Empower your self-esteem. Self-love is king. That's the only way to win. That's how you empower your dream. Living life is gangsta. Hey.